Introduction to on translating the names of God. The God of Israel is referred to through a variety of names in these texts, and it is by no means self-evident how to render the names in English. The most difficult of them is the Tetragrammaton, YHWH. Modern biblical scholarship has agreed to represent this as Yahweh, but there are problems with using that form in translation. The original Hebrew texts of the Bible were entirely consonantal, vowel points having been added well over a millennium after the original composition of the texts. Because by then the Tetragrammaton was deemed ineffable by Jewish tradition, it was revocalized to be pronounced as though it read Adonai, Lord. The confidence of biblical scholarship that the original pronunciation was in fact Yahweh may not be entirely warranted. See the comment on Exodus 3:14. In any case, Yahweh would have given the English version a certain academic archaeological coloration that I preferred to avoid, and it would have introduced a certain discomfort, at least for some Jewish readers of the translation. I rejected the option of using YHWH because it cannot be pronounced, whereas the dimension of sound seemed to me vital to the translation. I have therefore followed the precedent of the King James Version in representing YHWH as the Lord, the last three letters in small uppercase, to indicate that, like Adonai, it is an anomaly, a substitution for another name. The other most common designation of the deity is Elohim, a word that is plural in form. Perhaps, though this is far from certain, a plural of majesty, but that is generally treated grammatically as a singular. God is the natural English equivalent, but in some contexts where the generic character of the name seems prominent, I have rendered it with a lowercase g as God, and when the name is treated as a plural, especially when the narrative context involves polytheism, I have translated it as gods. Three other names for the deity, all borrowed from the Canaanite pantheon, occur in these books: El, Elyon, and Shaddai. Especially in poetry and at narrative moments of high solemnity, the writers appear to play on the archaic resonances of these names. And so, for the most part, I have given them in their Hebrew form, for in the particular contexts in which they typically appear, a touch of linguistic archaeology seemed to me entirely appropriate. Admittedly, any of the choices I have described may be debatable, but in all of them, my aim has been to name the deity in English in ways that would be in keeping with the overall concert of literary effects that the translation strives to create.